And we're back, guys. Thanks to everyone for their continued support as I get some great interviews and continue to build a platform here. Special thanks to my man Dale Underwood, who's taking care of all of my edits for me. He's taking care of the behind the scenes things so that I'm able to turn these things out and get the product out for you guys to listen. And of course, a shout out to my guys over at Ambush Sports Network. They continue to support me. They continue to help me out along the way. And today I'm joined by somebody that I've recently been able to keep a little bit of an eye on, and he's the newest and latest signing for Bellator MMA. He's a prodigy at the Institute of Combat, Tyson Miller. Tyson, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, man, just finished a long day of training, just finishing up, ate my last meal for the day, and just was looking forward to this phone call with you today, and
Good
just
stuff,
having fun, man.
Good
Trying
stuff.
to not be sore and recover, yeah.
Good. Well, that's good to hear, man. Well, Tyson, as we said, freshly signed on with Bellator. You get to make your debut September 7th in San Jose, California. How did this all come to fruition for you, and when was it that you had started chatting with Bellator?
Man, well, Cass Bell's my teammate. Cass Bell's also a Bellator fighter. He was already on, and when he started fighting for Bellator, when he had his first fight, I had not fought yet. I'd only been training at the gym, but when he got there, his manager asked him if there was anyone that he knew of that would be up and coming or anything like that he thought was going to be part of the team or somebody to look out for. And he actually mentioned my name then. And I had my first fight, and it came and went. And then his manager actually watched my first fight on YouTube. And then he called Cass and was like, "Hey, I got a show that I want him to fight on. I want to see how he does with a bigger crowd, with some bigger name guys there for Bellator, to see what's going on. And we want to see how he conducts himself, how he handles himself in a situation with a little bit more pressure." And I came out, and I was super lucky to be able to use all of my game and do what I do that day. And I came out, and my opponent was mean mugging me super hard, and I just smiled him down. And I played to the crowd a lot. I enjoy being a showman because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're independent contractors putting a show on for people, And it is what it is, man. I really just went for it that night. I picked him up, slammed him, choked him out in I think less than 2 minutes, and they really enjoyed the way that I conducted myself and how I talked to people and how I was playing with the crowd in the beginning before the fight even started. From the walkout to the interview after, I got interviewed, which was actually super stressful. That was crazy. I was not expecting a microphone to be in my face after I fought somebody. That's something completely different, but that was cool. And the whole thing went awesome. And then from there, he told me that he believed that as long as I kept training hard and studying and stayed in the gym, that he thought he would have a spot for me. And I just kept fighting, kept training. And then after that fight, he put my name in the hat and said, like, "Hey, check this kid out." And they called my coaches and wanted to hear about my background. And some people came in and just checked out the whole thing and kept on going. And it's been working out really well. So far, so good. Bunch of success and hopefully more to come.
That's exactly it. And as you mentioned there, you're somebody who is relatively new to the fight game. If we look over at Tapology, sorry, it's got you. Is 4 fights what you've had for your amateur career?
Yeah, I've actually had 4 fights for my amateur career, and however, I started in combat sports at 14. I started wrestling at 14, so I've got to compete in some larger stages and in front of a lot of people in a combat sports setting before coming into this. And that was a large part of the thinking of why my head coach let me fight so often, so many times. Because in wrestling, we were wrestling every weekend for, I think it's 3 months out of the year. And then I'd wrestle a little bit in college. But like, I've competed in front of a couple thousand people before competing for Bellator. Definitely not nearly as dangerous of a sport. There's no knees and kicks and stuff coming at your face, but there's a lot of experience behind the scenes that has already gone into it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do look at it, the similarities kind of between yourself and Cass with with your jumping into a big promotion, kind of being in your pro debut, was that something that now that you've gotten the call from Bellator that you've called Cass and you've had that contact with Cass in which you're kind of asking him maybe to take you under the wing a little bit and show you the ropes?
And man, we got the Cinderella story going on here, actually. A lot of people don't know that our head coach, John, and Cass brought me into the gym as a 15-year-old kid. I was just a little knucklehead that thought he was king of the world because I was having a lot of success being an athlete. And they brought me into the gym and put me through the ringer and showed me some real tough work. And ever since then, I fell in love with just hard work in the gym and training. They brought me in, kept me out of trouble, made sure I did the right things. They even trained me to a collegiate level, because I ended up playing football and wrestling in college for a couple of years, and then coming home because I missed my family at the end of the day. And we got some new coaches, and I didn't want to participate anymore just because it wasn't the same feel that I got while I was there and initially. And it was 2,000 miles away. I was in the Midwest. But a lot of people don't know that they actually brought me in a lot earlier, and that was also a big part of why they felt so comfortable just letting me fight back to back to back. Because if you look at my typology, I've fought like almost every other month here for the past year.
That's exactly it.
We were already kind of just a band of brothers that already trained super hard, and they knew me and felt comfortable with my skill set already. And they brought me back. I came back to the gym. They let me train for a whole year, and they were like, "All right, kid, let's try to make something out of this.
Let's see what we can do with it." I like it. Well, you mentioned there you have a very athletic background. I know you grew up playing a lot of football. You grew up playing baseball as well. You're somebody now who you're 21 years old, but you're very big. You're a big guy. You're very built. Have you already confirmed with whether it be what weight class this fight's going to be at? I know an opponent's name hasn't come out that I've been able to see, but are those things that are coming up very shortly?
Man, you guys are going to get some special treats with me. We have not decided. We're kind of toeing the line between 85 and 70, because I'm very short for 85, but I don't look undersized at 85, and 70 is kind of a stretch. But I mean, at this level, any kind of advantage is definitely going to be needed, especially the higher up we go. Hopefully we end up making it into the top 10 ranks and all that kind of fancy stuff, which is obviously the goal. We wouldn't be in it if we didn't think we can make it there. So it might end up being 70. It might end up being 85. I've made the cut for 70, and I've made it to 85. And at the end, we haven't decided, but definitely all options are open. So we don't know. We actually don't know which one this fight will be at. So I'm walking around super lean right now. And I don't know, man. 70 sounds better, but when I look at the list at 70, that's a tough road. And when I look at the list at 85, it feels a little better, but those guys are a lot bigger and hit with that extra 15, 20 pounds, and that's kind of scary too. So between John, Cass, and I, we've all been talking about it, and we kind of been going back and forth. So we're just going to see where I find a home and where it ends up being just organically.
Yeah, and you did kind of mention it a little bit earlier, but in April I spoke with Cass before his last fight, and he was somebody he spoke very, very highly of you. Spoke very highly of the way that you study on your work, the way that you work at your craft over at the Institute of Combat. Talk to us a little bit just about your relationship with Cass and how that's been something that, like you said, he brought you in from an early young age, and how it's kind of grown over the past 6 years now.
Man, so I mean, as everybody does when they walk into the gym at first, they just want to know how to get better the fastest, right? So as with my already athletic background, I noticed that not many people were taking notes, but when I was playing sports in college and in high school, we'd watch film on certain things and take notes on athletes that we either liked, or we would watch ourselves do things and then take notes on stuff that we needed to do differently. And I brought that to the table with me into the room, and that changed the game a little bit. So I asked our head coach initially I asked him for guys that he thought were the most fundamentally sound. And he gave me a list of people that I studied pretty much obsessively, honestly, in the beginning. If I wasn't at the gym or in the classroom, because I'm still in school here, if I wasn't at the gym or in the classroom, I was 100% watching film, which is just something that I'm truly passionate about. Like, I started watching MMA I think I was 12 when I saw my very first pay-per-view. I watched John Jones win the light heavyweight belt from Shogun Rua, and from then on, I became a fan of the sport, and I'd always thought it was cool. So I'd always already watched martial arts, and I like everyone else is, as a little kid, I was a fan of Bruce Lee, and I thought the kicks were cool and that kind of thing, which is always super fun. And so from there, I just started watching hours and hours of film, and it's still something I do all the time. If I'm washing dishes, I watch film. If I'm doing laundry, I watch film. If I shave my face, I put on a fight. It's just part of me now. Likewise, if I'm not if I'm at the gym and there's like a spare moment, if I'm waiting for somebody to go get some pads to hit or something like that, I'm 100% in my head either thinking about a combo that I'm trying to throw or thinking about something that I saw in a fight that I feel like I would do. And a big part of that isn't, a lot of people misunderstand, and because I'm not a YouTube warrior, like I don't want people to get the impression that I'm a Swiss Army knife with every single tool possible. I'm just like a really sharpened single blade tool that can work for a bunch of different things. Because I feel like the more understanding you have of what's going on is going to let you be better at your game. So it's not necessarily that I'm trying to be the best dude with the most tricks. It's that I'm trying to understand all of the tricks so that I know what people are trying to do to me so that I can just do what I want to do, which is only like a handful of things. And that brings me back to athletics also, because in high school, my coaches told me that, and Juan reaffirmed this later, or John reaffirmed this later, that the best athletes only have maybe 3 or 4 at most things that they do incredibly well, but they just do those things so well that they don't have to do anything else. And if you focus on that thing and make it your everything, then you can have massive success. And a big idol of mine is Jordan Burroughs, and everybody knows that Jordan Burroughs is going to hit a blast double, but he still blast doubles everybody, and that's the coolest thing to me. So there's a bunch of fighters out there like that. Like everyone knows that Rico Verhoeven in Glory, the heavyweight champion, is going to kick their legs and punch them in the face, and I think he's defended the belt around 10 times now. I can't say for sure. And then there's other people too, like I just watched Jonathan Haggerty fight for one in Muay Thai, and he defeated Sam A. And Sam A has I believe, over 250 fights. And this is a 21-year-old kid that came in and took out the champion with a move that they knew he was going to throw, which is a tomahawk elbow, but he threw it anyways, and he still cut up the champion because he practiced it so much. So when I asked Juan that, and then I told him, I noticed that most fighters have something, most great fighters have something they do really well, whether it's Pac-Man's left hand or Floyd Mayweather with the defense. And I was like, man, like, why is that a thing? Is it just the gym that they train at? Is it the trainer they have? Is it something about them? He's like, no, well, 2 things. It's either their personality goes into it and it becomes part of them, and they just obsess over that thing. So I don't want to tell you guys all my tricks, so I won't tell you what thing I'm obsessed with, but it becomes the thing, like Bruce Lee says, like, you don't want to practice 1,000 kicks once, you got to practice one kick 10,000 times, and then it becomes a real thing.
Yeah, that's exactly
if you get what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. When you're going through those names and you're talking about those guys, somebody that jumps out to me that's had an extreme amount of recent success is somebody like Gary Tonin over in one. He's somebody he's able to do a lot of things, but he's able to do one thing very, very, very well. And I think if you separate yourself in one craft, if you're able to separate yourself from others, the other stuff are things that you can work on along the way. But it's always nice to have that one thing that hey, I've done this 10,000 times, I've done this numerous times, and I can do this in different ways that's going to allow me to be successful. So Tyson,
yeah, exactly.
I know you train out of the Institute of Combat, and I saw that you had visited AKA this past month. Were you able to train there at all, and what is your training program looking like right now?
No, I actually didn't get to train at all. We just passed through and saw our manager. Cass's manager is also my manager. We just passed through. I didn't get to train at all. Cass was super lucky to be able to get on there and train a while ago. I can't remember why he was there, but he got to, and that was a pretty cool experience. Honestly, man, I'm a gym rat. I'm a 52-week camp guy. I don't like the idea of only training a couple months for a specific person to do a couple of specific things. The bottom line is I just love being there. I don't look forward to anything else more than getting time on the mats, getting to have fun with my friends and teammates. It's kind of like in Step Brothers when Will Ferrell is like, you want to go do karate in the garage? Except I just live there. So.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Yeah, and when I was able to take a look back at some of your fights, things that stuck out to me, I think you lead with leg kicks, which is very good, and we've seen that become such an effective piece of MMA over the last few years, is that slicing calf kick and those low leg kicks. Also, your submission and transition game is something that really stood out to me. So props to that. And like you said, if you're able to focus on those certain crafts, I think it's going to take you to a level that you're hoping to get to. So those were things that stood out to me. Are those things that you do tend to focus on maybe a little bit more?
Oh yeah, man. Freaking yeah, Yeah, 100%. And that's no secret to anybody. Like, low kicks are a big part of everyone's game now. There's a certain magic trick that I cannot figure out, though. Rico Verhoeven be kicking the inside of people's back legs. I have no idea how he does it. That dude is a wizard. I've been trying to figure that out for a while, but you won't see that out of me anytime soon. And then as far as grappling goes, position over everything else. It doesn't matter if you're a bigger guy or a smaller guy. We see videos of smaller dudes taking out larger guys with position over submission after strength's gone. And the coolest piece of advice for jiu-jitsu that I think I've ever heard actually came from our head coach. And he's like, man, skill is the limiting factor. And then after that, it's strength. But if you're just always working on your skills, then it doesn't matter how strong people are, especially in all positions. And it's something Tom DeBlas talks about a lot, something that what's his name? John Danaher posts books on, basically, on Instagram for positions in the system and all of the different levers and things like that. And if you just focus on those things over everything else, man, there comes a time when you stop getting submitted as much, when you're only worried about being in the right position, and then from there you're free to attack. I think Hodger Gracie said that too. Like, he just focused on his defense for so long that one day he realized he wasn't getting submitted as much, and he started actually attacking people. And that's also the same in striking, I feel like, too. Like, if you keep your head out of the center lane, you're probably going to not get hit as much as someone who keeps their head in the center lane. If you check kicks, you're not going to have as many problems as if you don't check kicks. And it's kind of a common theme of both things, I think, personally, but I don't know.
Yeah, you can even look at Floyd Mayweather, who you just mentioned. His game is built off of his defense. It's built off of being able to roll the shoulder and roll with those punches. So I think that's exactly a great place for people to build that foundation in which they're able to continually defend things, and then that provides the best defense. You know it from being a football guy. The best defense is the best offense is a good defense, rather. So offense wins games and defense wins championships, right?
Yep, exactly. That's perfect right there.
Well, Tyson, we'll wrap it up pretty quick here, but your life's been crazy of late. Lots to celebrate. Signing with Bellator, of course. I saw you recently got engaged. Outside of training, what do you get up to? I know you're a big football guy, big Oregon Ducks fan like myself, which I loved. What's Tyson's life outside of the gym?
Man, outside of the gym, life is crazy. I have a ton of siblings. I think 7 or 8 siblings now. I love all of them. I'm the oldest. So that's a challenge. That's definitely something that I remember all the time and think about constantly. Everyone has good days and bad days, and if I don't want to go to the gym, they're the first thing I think about because I know they're looking up to me. My lady's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Also, I was actually working nights and not taking training as serious as I should have because I was just trying to pay for rent and pay for insurance, and she actually came in out of nowhere and said, like, hey, I'll split everything with you. Just quit your job and I'll take care of you. I believe you're going to be a world champion. And I actually cried in my car on the way to the gym. I'll admit that. The boys will make fun of me if they listen to this, but that's all right. I cried on the car ride on the way there. I'd never been that happy. So I definitely needed to, I brought her into my life, and my life's changed significantly because she also has a bunch of siblings, and our whole family is gigantic now. And I've never felt like I've had as much support as I have now from a giant family that I'm now a part of on both sides, which is really cool, man. That's super awesome. I play a lot of video games. I don't play video games anywhere close to how I feel like I conduct myself in real life. I'm usually like a wizard running around trying to be smart and do stuff without getting hit in the face. That's a little different. I play a lot of video games. My best friend is actually, shout out to my best friend, Jake Hansen. He's actually the center for the Oregon Ducks. I think he's a 2-time All-American now, and we played football together in high school. And that dude, I've never met another dude that works as hard as me or him, because that guy and I would just try to kill each other in the weight room or on the track after. We would show up to the weight room an hour early, lift for 2 hours, go to practice, and then run extra after almost 5 days a week. So I keep up with the Ducks just because that's my buddy. I absolutely love that guy. And outside of the ring, I just try to help as many people as I can and keep up with my crazy family and try to spread the love. And we come from a small town, and there's a good bit of crime here, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And there's a lot of kids that will message me on Instagram that I try to take a lot of time out of my day to either call or text back and tell them, like, hey, you can do this too. I was in your position. We didn't have that much money growing up, but I just kept training, and your coaches will never say no to you. If you ask for extra time in the weight room, they'll never say no to you. If you ask to do extra stuff on the track. And at the end of the day, like, you can be me. You just have to work hard to get here. And then I just give them the formula like that. And there's a couple kids on the come up that I firmly believe will also be in my position one day, as long as they just keep their head on their shoulders and keep working.
Good stuff, man. Well, Tyson, it was awesome talking with you, man. You sound like somebody who's got a great head on your shoulders, somebody who's at a young age been able to set the tone not only for themselves but for people that want to follow your footsteps. Like you said, coming from Arcata, Cass had mentioned how it's a small town and it's got that small town feel to it, and it's nice that those kids are able to have somebody that they can look up to, somebody to kind of set the path for them. So good stuff, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, man, September 7th, I can't wait to see it. San Jose, California, in your home state. You get to put on a show for everybody that's followed you, for all your friends, and for people that don't know who you are. Make it so that they soon know your name. So, yeah, Tyson, if the floor is yours, man. Tell us where we can follow you. Thank your people, shout out your sponsors, whatever you'd like to do, man. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Okay, so you can follow me on just about everything at Tyson Miller _IOC on Facebook. I have two last names, actually. A lot of people don't know that. On Facebook, I'm Tyson Sipavong Miller. You'll definitely see it if you find my MMA page, which is just Tyson Miller _IOC. Shout out to all my sponsors. New Wave Realty, that's a new sponsor from today. Shout out to them. Redwood Coast Water Company, the gym sponsors me as well. Institute of Combat. 21 Grams, the place I work at. That place has been sponsoring me since I was 15. They brought me in, taught me how to lift weights. Thank you to Next Level for letting me come into the cryo chamber and keep me safe and sane and healthy. And thank you to Visual Concepts for doing my T-shirt design and my logo design, and being there for me just as a genuine friend. And thank you to my mom also. My mom's definitely a number one fan and number one supporter in all things Tyson Miller.
Always. You can't leave mom out of anything. So, like
No.
I said, man, I appreciate you taking the time out today. Best of luck September 7th, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
No worries. Tyson Miller, everybody.